Phil, that
Sure.
was Mark Arey, the first Greek Orthodox we had on the show, and fascinating. And one thing that was interesting, I want to just throw out right away, and that is that he was a priest for 30 years, decided to get married, that was what he was to do. He left the church, and they let him leave very comfortably, and he seems to have kept a very strong relationship with the church. We had someone on recently, Kimberly Braun. She was
Yeah.
a cloistered nun in the Roman Catholic Church, and when she left, they weren't happy about it, and of course they allowed her to leave, but then they severed all ties with her. I don't know that all Catholicism is like that. Probably because she was cloistered nun was more severe, but I think
Yeah,
that
maybe a
speaks well of
difference
the Greek
between
court.
being a monastic.
Right,
Yeah,
and just being
I
a
don't know.
secular. It's really, but in any event, obviously a very spiritual fellow who
Yeah.
is got a very, I think, enlightened, or certainly a very broad perspective on Christianity and its relationship to Buddhism and his interpretation of Scripture. It's very innovative. I did ask him if he was considered a maverick in the church. I can't imagine that all Greek Orthodox clergy or scholars support his endeavors, but certainly they allow him to teach and continue to be associated with the church. So I think that speaks well of them.
Yeah. I don't know enough about, Greek Orthodox uh, church hierarchies or administrative apparatus or anything like that, but my impression has always been that the Greek Orthodox and the other Eastern Orthodox churches were not quite as top heavy,
They do have a
so to speak,
patriarch,
as the Romans.
yeah.
What?
And they do, I think, have a patriarch, like a head guy,
Yeah, yeah.
but not like the Pope. And every once in a while, the Pope meets with the patriarch, and they talk about getting the two churches together. And it never happens. It's like putting the Mets and the Yankees together, I guess. And it just ain't gonna happen. But
Yeah.
they're nice to each other. And it's certainly better than if they were unfriendly and they went to war with one another or whatever. But and
Well, it's
also I
not
thought it
too
was,
late.
yeah, his teaching about the suffering of Christ, and I had to mention to him, when I grew up in Catholicism, that was the big turnoff. It was always about suffering. It was really
Yeah.
depressing, and you had to think there had to be more than that, and also the emphasis on, God is a little man in the air that you speak to as often as you can, and he's going to help you out, whether it's winning a football game or forgiving you for stealing a cookie out of a cookie jar or whatever. So,
He
uh,
doesn't help you win football games?
well, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of coaches doing a lot of praying, and I don't know how, if there is a
Someone's
God,
got to
how he takes
lose.
sides. Yeah, that was the thing. It always. Anyway, so but a very deep thinker, Mark, and
Yeah,
a very
yeah,
scholarly, and I actually look forward to reading one of his books. I think
yeah.
it's very he
Yeah, it's
gives.
interesting. We've had a few people on who are sort of in the vanguard of a
Hmm.
rethinking and reconsideration of what it means to be Christian, what Jesus really taught, and so forth. So this is, a nice package we have with Richard Rohr and
Right.
Mirabai Starr and Jim Finley and now Mark Arey, and we have a few of them, and it's very interesting sort of together. They constitute a kind of a seminar practically
Hmm.
in different ways of looking at Jesus, and um, there are many people who are not in the clergy or expert at it, who come from the Hindu and Buddhist traditions, who had a lot to say about Jesus too. I'm working on this biography of Yogananda, and he spoke so much about Jesus and quoted the New Testament problem as much as he did the Bhagavad Gita. And after his passing, uh, his disciples culled all of his writings and talks about Jesus and the New Testament, and it's this more than 1,000-page,
Right.
two-volume book called The Second Coming of Christ, and so there's a lot of different ways of looking at that tradition that some of which is really a
Mhm.
revelation in itself.
Right. No, it's I read excerpts from that book, and it's very profound, and it's very much along the lines. We just got a little taste of what Mark was talking about, but yeah, it's very insightful. It goes in. It gives you a more, what I guess I would call a cosmic perspective, and
Yeah,
different angle on Christianity. And by the way, Mark that we had just interviewed, and other people that you mentioned are really on the vanguard of where Christianity, I think, in my opinion, is headed and should be headed, and is evolving. And
yeah,
so, and hopefully, the Roman Catholic Church, the Greek Orthodox Church, these churches will be open to more innovative thinking. And there'll be disagreement, and ultimately, I don't know who's the judge of whatever, but I think people are more and more attracted to um,
yeah.
other perspectives.
Indeed.
So
All
it's
right.
there you go. Yeah. So we should have another. We should have more Greek Orthodox, and I'm trying to think. We've had pretty much every flavor of religion on. I guess there's a few we
Yeah.
haven't at this point, but we will continue to search. And those listening in, any ideas you have or anyone you know that you think would make a good guest, please let us know. If you go to spiritmatterstalk.com, then you can uh, send us a message and we'll follow up on it.
All righty.
All right. Till next time, Phil. And
Okay.
sometime soon, Phil will be finished with his biography of Farmer Mahansi Yogananda. It is right now August 2017. And sometime in early 2018, I plan on having already read the book. So
No,
there
no,
you go.
not too early. The
uh,
publication is April.
April. Okay. So by
All
next
right.
summer. Over and out.
Okay. Bye.